So we want to find all solutions on the interval of 0 to 2 pi for this equation. The first thing I see is I have like trig functions. They're both cotangent, so I'm going to get them together on the same side. So I have 10 cotangent cubed of x, subtracting the 30 cotangent x term. It's going to come over here as 30 cotangent x, and the right hand side will be 0. Now I see that I have in common a 10 and a cotangent of x. So I'm going to factor that out of both terms. Taking the 10 and one of the cotangents out of the first term will leave me cotangent squared of x. Then I have a minus. Dividing 10 out of 30 will leave me 3, and I took the cotangent out, equals 0. Once I get it factored, I use the zero factor property, and I set each factor equal to 0 and solve it. So I have 10 cotangent of x equals 0, and then I have cotangent squared of x minus 3 equals 0. So looking at this first equation, I can divide both sides by 10, and that will still leave 0. So when is the cotangent 0 on the interval from 0 to 2 pi? So I think of cotangent. I know that cotangent is cosine of x over sine of x. So this fraction will be 0 when the cosine is 0. And we know that that would be when x equals pi halves or 3 pi halves. So we have two solutions from that equation. Now let's look at the next equation. First of all, we'll add 3 to both sides because we're trying to isolate the cotangent. We want it to be the only thing on the side. So let me just mark off some room here so we don't get it mixed with what we had. So we have cotangent squared of x equals 3. And now we're going to get rid of the squared by square rooting both sides. Remembering when we do that, we have to put a positive and a negative, a plus minus. The squared and square root cancel here, so we have cotangent of x, and that will equal plus or minus square root of 3. So I need to figure out where between 0 and 2 pi is the cotangent either square root 3 or negative square root 3. And if I think of the unit circle, if I'm over here at pi 6, that is where the x is square root 3 over 2 and the y is 1/2. So cosine is square root 3 over 2 there, and sine is 1/2. And by the time I flip that over and simplify, that does have a cotangent value of square root 3. So I'm going to get another solution. I'm going to put them down below. I had the first two, pi 6th. And then if I'm over here at 5 pi 6, cotangent is negative, but it's still going to be the square root 3 over 2 and 1/2, but with the negative on it. Negative square root of 3 is also one we need, so that's going to be 5 pi 6. There's going to be two more places right here. The cotangent is positive, and it is square root 3, so that's going to be at 7 pi 6. And then we're going to get one more place over here in quadrant 4 where the cotangent is negative. I'll put it down below. That one's going to be 11 pi 6. So we have 6 different answers here.